He is the executive director of the Morad Center at Villanova, longtime executive with the Green Bay Packers, and the host of the Business of Sports podcast. Andrew Brandt back here on the show. How are you, sir?
Great minds think alike. That moment right before, I think, you contacted me last night, we sent out a tweet virtually the same time, and the same, which for people who don't know was that at the same time we have a triple threat from Aaron Rodgers. He could be executive of the year for signing Randall Cobb. He could be MVP while also being a team owner of the Bears. So great minds think alike.
Yes, that's when I just thought to myself, he owns the Bears. He's the MVP quarterback of the Packers, but also a de facto general manager. And, you know, I did give some run to Gutekunst here because, again, A.J. Dillon was a pick that, we were all torching him for because Rodgers wanted that weapon, and as a matter of fact, not only did they not get Ayuk, they watched the Niners get him, and then they move up to draft Jordan Love and then get him another running back when Aaron Jones is clearly the guy there. And sure enough, look who's a two-headed monster last night when they need it, Jones and Dillon. But the guy who got in the end zone a couple times is the guy that Rodgers says, I want to be here in Randall Cobb. So it's kind of like, all working right now, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about our guy, Aaron, but I think organizationally, and I was part of that organization, as people know, for 10 years, that is a huge win organizationally because you've got your superstar, Aaron, but you've got this infrastructure that a lot of people, like you just said, were criticizing in terms of not even giving Matt LaFleur and his incredible win-loss record the respect it deserves, and certainly not the front office. Well, that was a win for the front office and the coaching staff. If ever was a win for the front office and coaching staff, you have the play of the game made by a guy they picked up off the Arizona, by the way, practice squad, Rasul Douglas. You have a second-round pick that was panned last year, running through what was one of, if not the top-rated defense in the league. And coaching-wise, they realized they didn't have their top three receivers, and it was a run-oriented, ball-controlling-oriented, time-of-possession-oriented win over the only undefeated team on the road on a short week. That's a huge win.
And then in a short week to come up with a way to get the plays called into the defense with, Joe Barry out because of COVID-19 protocols, passing game coordinator and defensive backs assistant, Jerry Gray and Kirk Olivadotti, the linebackers coach, you put something in place in short order. That might have been in place, just in case to break glass. You take it out of a drawer, but you still have to execute it, on a short week and then in a game that's so big. It really did all work out right there. So how do you think Matt LaFleur has grown into this job? Because it sure looks like he's comfortable. He's just got like this, the first year he looked like obviously he was new to the scene and new to the job, and we're just wondering who he is, but I haven't interviewed him yet, and I look forward to it. Now he's got like some sort of swagger on the sideline, like he's barking at people, and he and Rodgers appear to be totally locked at the hip, standing next to each other, making the same gestures to the referees when they're on defense. It really looks different to me, Andrew.
Yeah, it does, Rich. And there's the obvious answer is they've grown into this relationship. He's grown into the role over 3 years, but it's not like we're talking about a coach that came in and won 6 games.
Right.
This coach came in and has been to two consecutive NFC championship games. I mean, I don't do all the stats and all that. It just seems like if there's a coach that has the first 3-year record of Matt LaFleur, it's a pretty damn short list. I mean, it's like 1 or 2 coaches in history that's come in and had the wins. And as I said before, I'm not sure he gets the respect he deserves because of one Aaron Rodgers. And that's sort of the blessing and the curse of coaching a superstar. But we'll see. He came from Tennessee and obviously places before that, the Rams and Washington, but he came from Tennessee, which everyone equates with Derrick Henry. He is really wanting to run the ball. And that sounds odd when you have Aaron Rodgers, but it seems like it's coming into focus now. And again, the top 3 receivers were out last night. But what a balanced offense, and Aaron could sort of rely on a different kind of game plan and then pick his spots with Randall Cobb and Aaron Jones being the lead receiver.
Yeah, I mean, 37 attempts for Rodgers last night, throwing it, and 34 on the ground for a $151 and a score. I mean, that is exactly what you mean by balance. Andrew Brandt here on the Rich Eisen Show. So we've established that LaFleur is grown into his own now, 33-7 as the he's 13-1 and 13-1 and now 7-1, right? So 33-1, 33-7 now as coach of the Green Bay Packers, and he and the relationship with Rodgers clearly seems to be bonded. And Rodgers is guy who's like, let's get Randall Cobb, and okay, let's give Aaron a little something, let him wet his beak a little bit on the roster, and then Cobb comes up big, and then everyone else is performing around it. Is it possible that we're watching Rodgers fall back in love with everything about the Green Bay Packers, soup to nuts, and that the offseason of discontent will actually, with this regular season, lead to a longer stay, if not his entire career? Do you think that is possible, Andrew?
Yeah, my friend, a lot to unpack here, and I want to lead with my head, not my heart, because I, as people know me from Twitter and during the games, I'm still a big fan. I'm still biased. But I sort of diagnosed this whole off season as Aaron, who was a good soldier in year one about the pick of Jordan Love, where we had a different experience with Brett 15 years ago when we picked Aaron, kind of after the championship game was like, what's going on here? Because I get the feeling they want to move to Love in 2022. And in so many words, I thought his people were saying to the Packers, let's just do it now. Why wait a year? Let's just do it now. Let's move them on. You're going to do it next year. And, of course, the Packers, in management, they wanted the MVP performance again before moving on to Love. And they ultimately, I guess, for lack of a better word, won that battle. And Aaron has a contract accommodation, but not till after 2022. But if you remember, Rich, there's kind of loose language when in the reporting that after 2021, Packers and Aaron will sort of figure it out. And the way I read that was he'll be involved in what team he picks to be traded to. So I have always thought that 2022 was the separation date between Aaron and the Packers. I've thought that. And if you're putting a gun to my head, I still think it. But my heart says, wow, he's so invested in this team. He loves the team. This may be sort of a real dramatic year in the history of the Packers and Aaron, and maybe it could continue. But there's two parts to this. There's the Aaron side, and I don't think his feelings have been assuaged completely. I do think he doesn't have this warmth for the front office, and that has continued, but they're professional. They're living with each other for 6 months. And there's the Packers side, where, we waited 3 years to move to Aaron years ago. I don't think they want to wait 3 years for Jordan Love. And I know you've got the MVP, but I think it's 2 years. So I would think this would still require, Rich, a change in attitude for both sides.
Well, I mean, the change in attitude from Rodgers' side, I can't attest to, right? I mean, from the fact of he's a singular person that I don't think that you could compare him to anybody else in the NFL, not just talent wise, but neck up between the temples wise. I mean, a perfect example of that is last night he's being taken down by his numbers on the back of his jersey. And the takedown is somewhat slow enough for him to be spun around and make eye contact with the official who he thinks should be calling a flag for a horse collar tackle. Like he's actually has the presence of mind to find the appropriate zebra that he wants a call from in the middle of the play. I mean, you don't talk about presence of mind and awareness. And clearly he now has that mentally for whatever he says that his approach to life allows him to live in the moment, so on and so forth. So I can't speak to that, right? But what I can, I think, speak to is, the football aspect of this. Wouldn't it be complete football rostering franchise malpractice to tell Aaron Rodgers at this stage, certainly when you're seeing Brady do it to age 44, how can you move on to a guy that's totally new, potentially very talented, and I know he could be there for a very long time, but you're seeing what's going on in Chicago right now. I mean, you're seeing what's going on in New York. You're seeing what's going on in Jacksonville. You want a piece of that by telling Rodgers adios?
I know.
Really? Like, that's malpractice to me. That I think I could speak to. Andrew, what about you?
If you were interviewing me 15 years ago, and I probably wouldn't come on because I was with the organization,
yes,
you'd ask the exact same question. The exact 100% same words. Instead of Rodgers and Love, it would be Favre and Rodgers. And there was no question I got more in those 3 years where Aaron was a backup, which was, you can't do this. You can't move from Brett Favre to an unknown. What do you want to end up like these teams with no quarterback, like the Bears at the time? So and again, I am not suggesting Jordan Love will be anything like Aaron Rodgers. But at some point, these decisions have been made. Yeah, the Packers could go another year, but then Love's into the fourth year of his contract. And it just feels to me like this has been the plan. And if they win the Super Bowl and Rodgers is off in the sunset to a new team, so be it. I'm saying what I said to you on text, Rich. My heart says more Rodgers. My head says they're still going to move on.
Why is that? Because you think Rodgers is still, again, his answer he gave last night about living in the moment, and he made an adjustment last year that he's, by the way, he's taken that on the golf course. You see what he did to try and carry DeChambeau against Phil and Brady too, right? I mean, like, it's not just football. He's clearly doing it everywhere for himself.
He's a different guy. When we brought him in first time after drafting him, I just noticed it right away. Just kind of this, first of all, off-the-charts intelligence and vocabulary you don't see with frankly, a lot of players. And this sort of sense of calm. And I just attributed it to California, Northern California cool, but it's just this sense of calm and things, not taking things too seriously, and this wry sense of humor. And then, as I've told you before, we had those 2 off seasons where Brett spent the time in Mississippi. And I had Greg Jennings and Donald Driver and James Jones coming up to our offices and saying, oh, my God. Oh, my God, this guy. I mean, we love Brett. But, oh, my God, this young guy, Rodgers. So we knew. Now, I don't know what's going on in that scenario with Love, but Love had that this offseason, right? Rodgers wasn't there. Love had that. So they probably know a lot more about Love than they did a year ago.
But Rodgers is different from Favre, though, right? I mean, Rodgers doesn't have this start streak that was consuming a lot either. I don't know if I know Rodgers has suffered injuries, but I think he's in a better physical place than, like, at least when you moved on from Favre, you kind of figured he didn't have much longer to go. I mean, Rodgers, you could literally get him for another 6 years because of what Brady's doing, and if he wants to do the same damn thing, right? I mean, I don't know. It's not just like, hey, he might go somewhere else for 2 years. He could have a whole other career somewhere else or you could have a whole other dynastic run with him in Green Bay in the same way that Brady did after Garoppolo was dispatched. Andrew,
and I'm trying to put myself in Brian's shoes and Matt LaFleur. They're both at whatever you want to call it, at fault for picking Jordan Love. I'm trying to think about 2019 season and if they detected decline in Aaron's game.
He couldn't. He was terrific. He was sublime. He didn't win MVP.
Sublime these past 2 years. I'm wondering what happened for them to move up to take Love. So, it may be as simple as, I remember NFL Network people, this Jordan Love could be a top 10 pick. Maybe it's simple as, oh, my God, look at the value.
Right.
But we'll see. Okay. I mean, there's a lot to play out here. God willing, he doesn't get injured. If he continues to play this way, obviously it's going to force the Packers' hand. But don't discount Aaron here. Don't discount that it's all kumbaya with Aaron and the organization. And when I heard that LaFleur and Murphy and Gutekunst all made trips to L.A. this offseason and still had issues, that's still a problem.
Andrew Brandt here on the Rich Eisen Show. I've got about 3 minutes left for something that obviously could be talked about for 3 years. But who do you think leaked the emails from John Gruden? And what do you think they were? Was that possibly to get everyone's attention on the other stuff with the Washington football team that has not been revealed? Or was it just a straight Gruden play? Or what tea leaves can you read on that?
My initial thought was someone from the Washington football team, but now I just think that would be so silly and short-sighted if that happened, because look what's happened. The focus has turned back on them. For me and others, why was it an oral report? Why is this in a drawer of a 10-year of treating women the wrong way at the Washington Football Club? How does that happen? So someone had to realize if it's from Washington, this is going to turn back against them, or maybe they were so short-sighted they didn't realize that. I'm guessing someone in the league, Rich, because you have business targets here where Bruce Allen's a target. Again, that sort of leads back to Washington. But DeMaurice Smith, a leak a day before his reelection vote, and they've had good negotiations from their side with DeMaurice Smith. So I just think it's somewhere on the management side. My initial thought was Washington, but it's turned against them, as we now see. So I don't really see that. So I'm guessing someone either connected to the league through maybe even law firm or someone in the league office.
What do you think Gruden's next steps are? I just have a feeling he's sitting there, not saying anything right now, just laying low. But I have a feeling we have not heard from him the last yet. What do you think?
Well, my first, my line, there will be lawyers.
Yes, sir. That's why I'm asking you. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, to sue, A, the Raiders, B, the league, C, both. And I don't think Mark Davis wanted to fire him, so I don't know if it's the Raiders or it's maybe more bigger sources than him. In terms of his reappearance, time has healed wounds for a lot less. And I don't see him on the sideline. If he wants, perhaps media, but it'll be time, right? There'll be a lot of time between when we see him again.
And do you think there will be some form? Mark Davis says he wants to see a written report, that there was no written report on the Washington football team investigation. He wants to see one, and he called for it. What do you think? Do you think that's just one owner talking? What do you think?
Yeah, and I think he's the owner that's always still, like his dad, seen as a maverick, and they've shouted him down, and they're going to hope, like everything, this goes away, there'll be a new drama, and no one will be talking about it again.
Andrew, thanks for the call. Greatly appreciate it, sir.
Always a pleasure, Rich.
Thank you. There you go. Check everyone out. Check Andrew Brandt out at Andrew Brandt right here on the Rich Eisen Show. I follow him. You should, too. He's a terrific follow. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.